Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the professional method for finding and using reference tracks to make your music sound absolutely incredible.
So, have you ever finished a track, you're super proud of it, but then you play it next to a professional release and it just falls flat? You wonder why your mix doesn't have that same punch, that same polish. Well, the answer almost always comes down to one crucial, often overlooked step: referencing. Okay, let's get into it.
First things first, you've got to understand that not all references are created equal. In fact, pros think about them in two totally different categories, serving two very different but equally important purposes.
On one hand, you have your all-time references. Think of these as your personal North Star. They're the classics you know inside and out, the tracks you use to get your bearings when you're in a new studio or trying out new headphones. But then, on the other hand, we have analytical references. Now, these are your secret weapon. They're what you use to make sure your track can actually compete in today's market. And mastering the second type, well, that's what this whole explainer is about.
So, to build a really powerful list of these analytical references, you can't just go pick in any track that you think sounds cool. Nope, every single one has to pass a super strict 5-point inspection. These 5 criteria right here, modernity, genre, BPM, key, and quality, believe me, they are absolutely non-negotiable. This is what lets you do a true apples-to-apples comparison. Let's just quickly break down why each one is so important.
Music production standards move at lightning speed. I mean, what was considered a loud, punchy master just 5 years ago might sound kind of weak or dated today. If you're using old tracks, you're aiming for a target that doesn't exist anymore. You have to use current stuff.
You know, this part is all about eliminating variables. It's like a science experiment, right? A track at 140 BPM is just going to feel different from a track at 120. A song in the key of G will have a totally different low-end character than a song in C. To really, truly compare your mix, you have to get these fundamental things as close as possible. And now we get to maybe the most important technical point of all. And honestly, this is where I see so many producers make a huge, fatal mistake. We're talking about audio quality.
Just look at this table. It's fascinating because it shows you exactly what you're losing when you use a low-quality file. See, MP3s use something called destructive compression. To make that file smaller, the algorithm literally just chops off the highest frequencies. That's your air, your shimmer. It's just gone. Not only that, the stereo image can get weird and narrow, and you can get these gross, muddy artifacts in the bass. You're basically trying to compare your mix to a broken version of the song. The bottom line is simple. If you're serious about this, just invest a couple of bucks and buy the full WAV or FLAC file. You'll be supporting the original artist, which is great, but more importantly, you'll have the actual, real ground truth to compare your music against. So now that you know what to look for, the next question is, where do you actually find these things? Okay, finding the right tracks means you have to shift your mindset a little bit. You have to go from being a passive listener to being an active, targeted researcher. In other words, you have to learn how to dig. Don't just listen to the song. Become a detective. Start with an artist you love, then find the credits. Who produced it? Who mixed it? Who mastered it? You'll be surprised. You'll quickly find that it's a pretty small group of about 50 top-tier pros who are behind most of the hits you hear. Start following their work, and you will find an absolute goldmine of amazing references. And here's a real pro tip. Use the big Spotify charts, like the top 50 global. You don't have to like the music, you really don't. But you have to respect the engineering. These tracks have the biggest budgets, the best studios, and the best talent in the entire world working on them. They're basically a directory of what top-tier engineering sounds like right now.
Now, for all you electronic music producers out there, Beatport is ground zero. It just is. Their top 100 charts for every single subgenre, whether it's techno or house or drum and bass, that's the most direct way to find out what's setting the technical standard in your specific world. And hey, don't just stop at one source. You got to diversify. Checking out other platforms like Juno Download helps you build a much more unique and robust reference library. You can explore their DJ charts and new releases, and you'll find all kinds of gems that other people are overlooking.
So, you've gone through the checklist, you've dug through all the charts, and you've found a few perfect sounding tracks. You're done, right? Time to mix? Wrong. The final piece of this professional strategy is all about scale.
And this is so important. You are not looking for one single magic track to compare your song to. It doesn't exist. What you're actually doing is building a data set. The real goal is to collect dozens, at least 50, high-quality examples of what works in your genre.
And this slide right here explains the whole strategy.
By collecting all these tracks, you create something the pros call the decision zone. It's not about one track anymore. It's about finding the consensus, the average. You can load all 50 of those tracks into an analyzer and find the average loudness, the average stereo width, the average bass level for your genre. This isn't guesswork anymore. This is data, and it guides your mix choices with real, professional precision.
So there you have it. That's the complete system. You've got 2 different lists for 2 different jobs. You vet every track with that strict 5-point checklist. You play detective and hunt for tracks and their creators on the right platforms. And the real secret sauce, you use the power of volume to create a decision zone that informs every single move you make.
That's the framework the pros use. This system takes referencing from being a confusing guessing game and turns it into a precise, repeatable science. Really, the only thing left to do now is to start building your own library.